All right.
1, 2, 3.
3, 1, 2.
And we're back. Hey guys, it's Coach Chris. With me is Coach Joy, Coach Brian, and we want to talk about race week tips. We're in the heat of summer, getting ready for all the big events. And no pun intended. And getting ready for race week after months potentially of training. There's a lot of things you can do right and there's a lot of things you can do wrong. But to make your race day experience run smoothly, it really comes down to doing a little bit of planning about how to navigate race week, what to focus on, what to do. So let's talk about what some of our tips are for how to have a successful race week and race day experience. Do you guys have any tips, starting with Joy? Anything off the top of your head?
The first one.
Just straight up off the top of
Off the top of my
Never
head.
thought about this. So.
No, not at all. Read the athlete guide. Just read
What's
the
that?
athlete guide. It comes out. It tells you everything that you need to know about your race, from when to check in your bike, when to check in your gear, time cutoffs, what's on the course. If you haven't figured out what's on the course yet, what nutrition is on the course, where the aid stations are, if there's where's medical at, read it from front to back.
And then back to front.
Back to front.
Yeah, I think whether you're doing the Chicago Tri or an Ironman event or any of the bigger triathlons, they usually always have a more detailed athlete guide than just general info on the website. And 9 times out of 10, when people ask questions,
It's
the
in the
answer
guide.
is it's in the athlete guide. So it's kind of obvious when people have not read the athlete guide when they ask certain questions, but it can be a lot of information, but it is worth it to spend the time to read it.
But even if you've done the race year after year after year, there's going to be a change. I guarantee it, including reading the athlete guide. Go to the course talk. Guess what? In some races, including the Chicago Tri, the course talk is mandatory. So go to the course talk. There might be some changes last minute. They might have changed part of the course because maybe there might be emergency construction or something that's going on. Go to the course talk. Read your athlete guide.
Excellent.
Cool. Brian,
Great advice.
What about you? Any other big tips besides that being probably the biggest one?
That's probably the biggest one. Yeah. No, Joy took the biggest one. So I will pivot to, and I'm sure for most races at this point, especially if you're within a month out, hopefully you've done your due diligence and you have already selected your how to get there, where you're going to stay, all those logistics, but not a bad idea, even with the last couple weeks coming up, review and go back over all your logistics for things that you need to have and prepare for, how to get there, where you're staying, other things that you can sort of navigate around race weekend. So that could be as simple as additional things like when you arrive, driving from wherever you're staying. Let's say that you're at a Airbnb or at a hotel that's a little bit of a distance away from where the Ironman Village is or where the expo is. Just have a chance to drive down, make sure you can be aware of where it is, how to park. A lot of those like little bit of details can go a long way of just making that whole race weekend experience still just a little less stressful, right? Mm-hmm. It can also be something as simple as navigating where there might be a grocery store nearby, especially if you're not from that area or from that town. Just be able to figure out, okay, how close am I to a grocery store? If I need to get last minute water or snacks or anything for eating the weekend of, or if you have special treats that you like post race that you want to celebrate with afterwards, which was actually when we were in Rockford, that was a new thing for some of my fellow athletes that I was staying with. They're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. and made for the best recovery afternoon possible. So, again, anything that you can sort of check in on, again, I would say double check Airbnbs, Verbos, anybody that you've booked, just to make sure that you're still confirmed for the location, in case something should happen and you need to make last minute changes. Always good to just confirm, reconfirm, hotel stays, all that kind of good stuff. And then just other logistics for you and what you're bringing to the race. Anything that you can do to just sort of like do self-service, whether that's like massages or pedicures, things like that, just to kind of help give you a good sense of like good feels before the race, and things that you can do for your bike, such as maybe a last minute tune-up, just to make sure that your bike is taken care of, ready to go, ready to operate for race weekend. So good logistics.
Yeah. Also on that, if you are traveling via plane, knowing that you can put your bike back together, or that is a really important key there, or having a service, doing it ahead of time, that someone can actually a bike mechanic can put your bike back together at the expo.
For sure.
Other things to think about is purchasing CO2 cartridges, because you cannot bring them on the plane.
Good call.
Little things that you want to think of on that.
Any bike stuff too, like tune-ups, make sure you schedule those
well in
several
advance.
weeks in advance, ideally. Most bike shops in Chicago get pretty swamped the weeks before the Chicago
if you're waiting
Tri.
until the week of, you're probably going to be SOL.
And a lot of bike shops schedule it out, so you can actually schedule a time to drop off your bike, and then they do the service right away, and then you get it back right away.
Yeah.
But if you just show up at the shop with your bike, you might be in the back of the queue, and you might have to wait a week until you get your bike back, and then you don't have it for training. So.
And I think we're just far enough away from both Chicago and Stephanie from Ironman that you've got plenty of time to get those things done, but get them done sooner rather than later. You've got it set up, you've got it done, you've got it scheduled. You've made a plan for your logistics, where to park, where to go, where to drive, what's around you. And so again, anything you can do to make that, the things that you can control in your experience of that weekend, feel less stressful. It's going to make the whole, race experience less stressful as well.
And you reminded me, because I have 3 race weeks stepping up back to back pretty much. I'm like, I forgot to do this. And one of the things that is usually the last thing that I always do, but I want
hopefully it's not book your flights. I'll tell you.
We did just book our flight recently, so we did get that done. But no, it's booking and planning your dinner the night before, because a lot of restaurants get booked up.
Sure.
So making sure if you have friends or family coming, that you've planned for them as well, or have them plan it for you to take something off of your plate.
Yeah.
And also the race morning breakfast, like what are you going to eat? You know, last thing you want to do is do all this training, all this preparation, gear prep, and then you have like nothing for breakfast before the race, you know.
Which is why it's good to know where your grocery stores are.
Grocery store is, if all else fails, 7-Eleven.
Yeah,
sure.
And just a couple small items. Like my simple breakfast option, I call it the 3-2-1 taper. I like to wake up 3 hours at least before the race is starting, and have at least 300 calories or more 3 hours before, and then at least 200 calories 2 hours before, at least 100 calories 1 hour before, to kind of like top off before the race. And so that's my, you know, I have a bagel, peanut butter, banana, whatever it might be, just something quick and easy that you can get down. So I think planning that is crucial. I think the other tip that I was going to mention, which is kind of along the same lines of planning the logistics, is planning your gear, getting your gear put together, and not waiting until the night before, 2 nights before, but actually like,
what shall I wear tomorrow?
Yeah, like plan it out a week before or 2 weeks before. Like with TRI312, we do race rehearsals generally about 2 weeks before and 4 weeks before. So almost a full month before.
Right about now.
Which would be right about now for Wisconsin. And actually like plan out all your gear, your nutrition, lay it out. You know, if you're doing an Ironman event, like a full Ironman for the first time, they have a different transition setup. You have your gear in these bags instead of laid out on a towel generally. So look at the athlete guide to know what the logistics are, and then actually planning the gear accordingly.
It's amazing how that all like syncs up,
comes together. Yeah.
Comes full circle.
And I like to actually practice. So my tip for packing gear is I get giant Ziploc bags, and I put all my T1 gear in one bag, T2 gear in another. And then I'll actually practice, like even in the hotel room the day before, literally walking into the hotel room, running in, grabbing my bag, doing my transition, and just running through in my head, did I forget about anything, or do I have it packed and laid out the way I want it to be on race day? And just practicing that, whether it's in a training session. We just did with our Team Done AIDS charity a mock triathlon to have people practice the transitions with an actual bike rack and everything set up outdoors to mimic race day as much as possible. And that really does help you think about little things that you might not have, but also just go through the motions so you're not as nervous about it on race day. It's just like you go on autopilot mode rather than stressing about it. So definitely pack your gear several days in advance. And I think we have a whole bunch of checklists and videos that we've done in the past for Ironman and other events. So
I am the queen of checklists. I have a checklist for half marathon, half Ironman, and it depends on if I'm traveling or not. I have that specific checklist, and people make fun of me about checklists, but guess what? I don't forget anything.
And speaking of checklists, I think one thing, especially for when it comes to the full course distance, the 140.6 at Wisconsin or anywhere, is adding in sort of a what if scenario checklist. Yep. So any weather dynamics, so things that you need to add to what you would normally bring for an event. So whether that's rain gear, cold weather gear, additional nutrition, things like that, of like any what if scenarios that could happen, could probably happen on race day. Just having some backups, or some would be either need to have or nice to have in case, and just fill in the blank, rain, cold weather, any sort of thing that could possibly happen a month out that you have available just in case. Because we've seen all sorts of dynamics as it relates to Ironman Wisconsin, where we've had 40-degree weather the morning of on the 70.3. We've had monsoon weather on actual race day for Ironman Wisconsin, and we've had perfect weather. So anything can and could happen on race day, especially on a long course day that you're going to be there for anywhere from 9 to 17 hours. So if you have some things that you could just add in, and you could leave them in your race bags, your T1 and T2, or bike bag, your run bags. And I would rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it.
Yeah, and I think someone who's new to triathlon too might not think about those things.
Exactly.
One of the things that's new to most people doing their first triathlon is not knowing that you get a bib that you have to wear on the run. And to put that on, you don't put it on under your wetsuit or whatnot early in the race. And you don't want to waste the time to pin it on. So getting a race belt is a new item for a lot of people that we sometimes don't think about. And also, a lot of people don't think about, after you set up everything in the morning in transition, then you have to walk down to the swim start. You might want an extra piece of clothing to stay warm. You might want an extra pair of shoes or flip-flops to walk down, because you're leaving your shoes in transition.
Or water bottle to stay hydrated.
Extra water bottle, extra piece of nutrition.
You're go in your closet. Everyone has that crappy t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt that you've been meaning to get rid of.
Old pair of shoes,
cheapy flip-flops. Have those.
And that's a donation to the triathlon gods. Yeah.
But also we're talking about transition. A lot of people do not think about where swim in, bike out, bike in, run out. I actually run the transitions because I want to know, where everything is. Once I get out the water, I don't have my glasses on. Sometimes I have my glasses in my sports bra, but other times I don't. So I need to know where from swim in, where my bike is. Okay, there it is. From where my bike is to bike out. And then bike out, going from bike in, back to my bike, going into run out. So think about those things too, because a lot of people don't think about running and working through the transitions in their head, and they might be running around the transition area. Where's my bike? Because there's a whole bunch of bikes there.
Yeah, it's 2 transitions, but there's really 4 routes that you're walking.
Yep.
Right.
And visualizing race day, I think it's something, Brian, you did at Ironman Rockford, the visualization exercises. I think looking at course maps and just visualizing what routes will you be walking? How do you get from transition to the swim start? And just visualizing race day really does help to, it might make you nervous as you start thinking about it. But if you're doing that a week or two before the race, then you've thought through it. And by the time you get to race week, you're dialed in, you're prepared. And that really does make race day a much easier experience overall. So I think that's an important aspect of, going through the motions, planning everything out. For those doing the Chicago Tri-2, we are doing a first timers webinar, a whole hour-long session on race day and race week to go through all those nitty-gritty details. So that can be helpful to watch for a first timer in particular. And then I would say the other tip that I have is for more experienced athletes that want to maybe perform really, really well, is to actually sit down and write out a race plan. Like, what am I going to focus on race day? Like, pacing wise, what are my heart rate targets, power targets, whatever you might want to execute. And there's a lot of great tools out there. Like, we use TRI a lot because it has that Race X tool that will actually predict your splits for you and tell you exactly how to pace it. But there's other tools like that out there. So just going through and writing down a race plan, like, this is my goal for the swim, the bike, and the run, or this is what I'm going to focus on. It can be something fun and silly. It doesn't have to be super nerdy and metric oriented, but just some type of goal to write out a race plan really does help calm your nerves and prepare you for race day. So whether you're doing that on your own or you do it with a coach that might kind of guide you through that, I think that's always a worthwhile experience, is to actually like sit down and write out what your race day plan is.
So, simple summary. Getting ready for race week.
Read the athlete guide.
Read the athlete.
And go to the course talk. I said that. Because I might quiz you at the Chicago Tri Expo, I might quiz you on what's in the athlete guide.
Well, we'll know if anybody watches this video and walk in, if they see Joy and like, okay, quiz me. So that would be awesome.
Actually, one thing on that we should mention with athlete guides, oftentimes the race websites have last year's athlete guide posted.
So make sure
Chicago Tri has that. Ironman has that. You can find it. If you have trouble finding it, post, and maybe we'll post links to Wisconsin and Chicago.
We definitely will. Yes.
And then the new athlete guide usually for most races comes out about 2 or 3 weeks before the race. So always keep your eyes peeled for that updated athlete guide about 2 to 3 weeks out.
So to summarize, read the athlete guide. Number one, make sure it's the most recent athlete guide. Plan for and double check your race week logistics. Make sure you also have a checklist for all of your gear and would-be gear, your what-if gear. And I guess the fourth is also a little bit of just
write out the race plan.
Yeah, write out and visualize your race plan. So
and have fun.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else, you guys?
That's it.
Nope,
I think that covered it for now.
Until
next time.
Good luck on race day, everybody. We will see you out there.
And we will see you all at both Chicago and or Wisconsin.
Look for the red and black tutu.
See you guys there.
Bye.